With the help of this video, we are going to understand more about the story Hearts and Hands, written by O. Henry. O. Henry was an American short story writer. His real name was William Sidney Potter. At the age of 15, he left the school and started working in a drugstore. He even worked for some time as a teller in a bank. In 1897, he was convicted of stealing money and he was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. While he was in the prison, he started writing short stories to earn money to support his daughter. So, after being released from the prison in 1901, he changed his name to O. Henry. So, O. Henry is his pen name just to hide his true identity and continued writing. Hearts and Hands is a gripping story written by him in which he has blended, or we can say mixed, reality as well as fantasy, that is imagination. So in this story there are three main characters. First one is Miss Fairchild, and then Mr. Aston, and then third one is glum-faced man, and there are some other co-passengers also. So Miss Fairchild was an interesting character. She was elegantly dressed and seemed to be a smart, stylish, and rich woman who loved traveling. Mr. Aston, he was a young, handsome man with a bold, frank appearance and manner. Miss Fairchild and Mr. Aston both were acquaintance, means they were maybe working together or they were close friends, professional friends. And third person, he is unnamed man. He was rough, sad looking person. So let us talk about the setting of the story. The story is set on a train, B&M Express, at Denver. The entire action is confined to one of the coaches in the train where a young beautiful lady, Miss Fairchild, is sitting. It is at the Denver station that the two other characters in the story board the train. One of them is an old friend of Miss Fairchild. His name is Mr. Aston and he is a handsome young man. The other man with him is rough, fat, and glum faced. Throughout the story, the passengers have a light conversation. Thus, the story depicts a casual atmosphere. The story begins on a train to Denver. An elegantly dressed lady named Miss Fairchild was seated in one coach. When two men arrived and took the seat facing her, means both the men, they sat in front of that lady, Miss Fairchild. It quickly became clear that the woman knew one of the men. She spoke to the man called Mr. Aston and was rather surprised to discover that he was handcuffed to the man seated beside him. As Aston greeted the young woman, he slightly raised his right hand, bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet, means that very handcuff, to the left one of his companion. However, the man with Aston sensed, he felt that Aston's embarrassment and he deliberately interfered to clear the doubt in Miss Fairchild's mind about the handcuffs and said that Aston was the marshal and he was the convict and they were headed for Leavenworth prison. It's 7 years for counterfeiting, Aston said. So, actually, that very girl, Miss Fairchild, she should not be worried because her friend is a marshal and he is taking that very convict, that very prisoner to a prison who has convicted a crime of counterfeiting, means making money by illegal means. So the punishment is that is for 7 years. As the conversation continued, the woman was surprised to learn that Aston, means her friend, had given up his life in Washington to become a marshal in the West. The young woman kept on talking to her friend but continued to stare at the handcuffs. She was continuously noticing those handcuffs. To ease her concerns, the glum faced man asked Aston to accompany him to the smoker car as he was half dead for a pipe. Then that glum faced man, he said that please take me to the smoke car. I just want to smoke over there, because he was dying for it. He showed at the time that I am addicted to smoke. As the two men got up to go to the smoker car, Miss Fairchild bade Mr. Aston goodbye. So, after their departure, what happened? The two the two passengers in a seat nearby had heard most of the conversation. The passengers who were sitting nearby, they were listening to their conversation, and one of them remarked that from his appearance, Mr. Aston appeared to be too young to be a marshal. One of the passenger, he said that very person, Mr. Aston, who was calling himself a marshal, he is looking very much young for that post, because in the such early age a person can't be promoted to this high rank. And the other passengers corrected the mistake, saying Mr. Aston was not the marshal, he was the convict, because another reason, another lie, no marshal would handcuff his own right hand, because most of the persons, we always use right hand for any job. So whenever we have to do our job, then we can't engage our right hand, we always use our left hand. So the real marshal was that glum faced man. Actually, Mr. Aston, he was the convict, and that is why he was saying that my butterfly days are over, means now I am going to the prison, I can't move here and there like a butterfly. Let us talk about the themes of the story. First one is that is compassion. Compassion means to become sympathetic for the others. So in this story, this theme is shown by ruffled and glum-faced Marshall, who didn't let Aston reveal their true identities to Miss Fairchild to prevent Aston from any kind of embarrassment. So when the marshal realized that Miss Fairchild was a person who weighted social image more than reality, he prevented Mr. Aston from speaking and said that Mr. Aston was the marshal who was taking him to the prison for counterfeiting. The theme is that is appearances can be deceptive, means if appearances can misrepresent reality. When the marshal and convict means Mr. Eston boarded the train, their physical appearances are described in such a way that it can later mislead not only Miss Fairchild but also the readers, because we can also easily believe that such kind of personality as Mr. Aston has, he can be a marshal, and another person he was described in such a manner that we were feeling like he was the convict, but actually it was opposite. So here we have a great lesson to learn, that we should not give preference to the outer appearance or outer look of something or someone. We should be factual, and we should not always think by our heart. Let us talk about the style of the story. Here I am going to explain some terms, and it will be easy for you to read them in deep from your workbook. First one is that is narration. Narration means in who has explained the narrate the story, who is the narrator of the story, and here the story is narrated in the third person. Mean whosoever is narrating the story, he himself does not participate in the plot at any time. Second one is that is chronology, means the sequence of the story, the events of the story. So here the story follows a chronological sequence where one event follows the other. So O. Henry has tried to maintain the unity of time, place, and action. And third thing is that is irony. So what is irony? First, it is a kind of that situation when we are thinking, expecting that this will happen next, but at the end we come to know totally the opposite situation of that. As in the same story, we were thinking, we were expecting that Mr. Aston is the convict, but at the end there was a twist. We come to know that actually that glum faced man, he was the real marshal. So this is an ironical situation. And afterward we have another thing, that is foreshadowing, means we can judge the future from our present situation. So as in the story, when Miss Fairchild was very much astonished, surprised to see the handcuffs, so there was a negative, you can say, feeling, negative vibes were there. We were thinking that there is something wrong happened. So next is that is personification. So here personification is that very device when we are giving human qualities to the non-living things. For example, in this story we have a line that is, I think the air here agrees with me. So here a person can agree with us, not the air. So this is personification. Last one is that is hyperbole. Hyperbole is a literary device in which we say that is exaggeration of something. Clear? Here I am half dead for a pipe, means I am half dead. When we explain something in extraordinary way, when we exaggerate the ideas. So here he was the real marshal who was asking for a pipe. He was okay, he was walking in a good way. But he was saying I am half dead. So we know that half dead person can't even move. So he was exaggerating the idea. So this is all about the style of the story. So I hope this video will really help you to understand it more. For any query, you can leave the message. Thank you.